Welcome back to a new post today, and today let's discuss a diplomatic victory of India in Qatar, a very important West Asia country who's playing out of the way roles, I would say, and also taking risky roles as well in the West Asia geopolitical region, having a very big hand with regard to placing of Taliban in Kabul and also the exiting of USA, also a very important mediator with regard to many countries, especially Saudi Arabia and Israel and other rivalries in the West Asia region. And now a diplomatic victory for the small but definitely a powerful country, and also a front runner to secure India's greener future, I would say, with increasing natural gas supply to India. India has made another victory for its naval officers who were charged of spying, 8 naval officers, and who were released by the Qatar court, and they came back safely to India. So this has been seen as a very diplomatic victory for India. Now, to say thank you to the Emir of Qatar, our very Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the Qatar country, the capital of Qatar, Doha, on his way en route to UAE. So he was in UAE to inaugurate the temple there, and therefore he went to Qatar to thank the Emir for the early release of the naval officers. Let's have a quick review of this issue and what exactly, how exactly the India and Qatar relations are progressing. So Modi was in his visit to Qatar for on a two nation visit, which took him to Qatar and UAE, and his visit was formally announced after the agreement for release of the naval officers to Qatar. At his meeting in Doha, the two leaders, that is the Emir of Qatar and Narendra Modi, discussed ways to deepen the bilateral partnership, especially in areas of energy and technology. Qatar is being touted as a future savior for India's greener environment and also energy applications with regard to supply of natural gas to India. The breakthrough of relations between India and Qatar started during Manmohan Singh's time. So the first breakthrough was made in 2008 when India started to develop very good relations with this Middle East country named Qatar. And when the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh visited Qatar in 2008, relations since then have reached new heights. Now, the first visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi was made in his first term in 2016, and after this there have been close and high regular contacts between the two countries. Relations have flourished in areas of energy, investment, project, exports, food, health, security, civil aviation, and significantly defense and naval cooperation. Trade now stands at $18 billion. $78 billion deal for an import of LNG was signed just few days ago, and ensuring that Qatar will now play a very critical role in India's transition to a gas-based economy. So Qatar is a very unique country in the Gulf and always has played a role above its size and weight. It is a tiny piece of territory in the expanse of Saudi Arabia and close to Oman, but has the highest per capita income in the region. It has successfully harnessed its mammoth oil and gas wealth to develop its infrastructure in a fast pace and scale. And it is nothing short of miraculous achievement for the small country. Qatar's grandeur was in evidence when it hosted the FIFA World Cup in 2022. Now, politically, Qatar has taken many high-risk appetite initiatives, I would say. It has been in the eye of the intra-Gulf political storm, where it's seen relations with Saudi Arabia breaking down, and also it was boycotted by the Gulf Cooperation Council on the charges that it was supporting Islamist and radical groups that threaten the moderate regimes in the West Asia region. It has been an outlier in the Arab world by maintaining very significant links with Iran, but also hosts the American military base. Now, this is what is called as balance in diplomatic relations. In recent years, it plays a very active role in supporting the US project of exiting Afghanistan and installing Taliban in Kabul. It is once again involved in what it's doing, its mediator role at a time when most the vexatious conflict is going on in the Middle East region, that is between the Israel and the Hamas. It is playing the role of a mediator, and with its most powerful media, Al Jazeera, this has shaken the Arab world and plays a very dominant role in information technology there. This has been a diplomatic victory for India. The release of the naval officers and the former naval personnel were employed by a private company called as Dahara Go Global that was providing training and other services to Qatar's armed forces, and were detained in August 2022 and were declared charges and spent months in solitary confinement before being sentenced to death last year, and this was on the accusation of spying. Now, Modi was an official, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was on his official visit to Qatar in 2016, and then itself they discussed a wide range of issues in bilateral cooperation, trade, energy, partnership, investment cooperation, etc. The two leaders also recently met on the margins of COP28 in UAE and held delegation level talks which covered strategic investments to bolster partnership in energy, technology, so that India and Qatar can move beyond a buyer-seller relationship. Now, during the two meetings, they said that they would boost the bilateral cooperation mainly in trade, investment, energy, finance and technology, and the two leaders also discussed the delicate situation in the West Asian region. Let me tell you that Qatar has made a strategic choice to make India its largest pool of foreign makers, and it is almost 8 lakh Indians work in a population of 3 million there of the own native Qatari. The Emir of Qatar and the Al Thani family are the first to acknowledge and applaud the significant contributions of Indians in Qatar, and the relationship between the Emir and Narendra Modi and also the diplomacy played up very well, especially with the release of the naval officers that were charged on espionage. And let me tell you that Qatar is one of the first countries to sign a defense cooperation MOU with India in West Asia. In India's quest for higher energy security, now Qatar is going to play a very important role. Recently, both the countries have renewed long-term gas purchase agreements, bilateral trade is touching almost $20 billion, and diversified Qatari investments are increasing as 15,000 Indian companies are operating in Qatar, and even more expanding in diversified areas. Indian diaspora is one of the biggest all foreigners in the country, and they have played a very important role in contribution to the Qatari development as well. As a signature of the Qatari achievement, Indian workforce and companies did their best to do whatever they can with regard to the naval officers release also. And this is a few brief points about India and Qatar relationship. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi played a very important role in his personal effort with regard to the release of the naval officers, and also respected the course of law in Qatar. And finally, the Emir of Qatar took a decision to release the naval officers prior to Ramadan, which was the deadline that India itself thought, and it was done just on February 14th, very much prior to Ramadan. Now, Qatar showed its vote even in diplomacy also when it facilitated the release of 5 US prisoners from the clutches of Taliban, and also acted as a conduit for the Doha agreement between US and Taliban, and became a hub for evacuations for a large number of foreigners which were out from the Afghanistan. So it has played a very important role, not only as a mediator, but it's also facilitated international diplomacy as well, and also as a rescuer, I would say. Qatar has helped in facilitating aid and interaction between Israel and Hamas-led Gaza, for which even the Israel president facilitated and expressed gratitude towards the Qatari leadership. Even during the ongoing Israel-Hamas war, it played a mediatory role with Egypt to secure the release of the remaining 130 Israeli hostages from the clutches of Hamas, while ensuring humanitarian supplies to Gaza, and also ensuring long-term ceasefire pauses, even in spite of the Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu not commenting and not allowing for it. So in a conclusion, I would say that India has built a very robust and deep ties with this most important international player in the West Asia region, not only as a mediator but also as a rescuer, and also taking political risk with its diplomacy and diplomatic skills between many contrary rivals forces in the West Asian region. We are developing many strong ties with not only Qatar but also Saudi Arabia, UAE and Oman, and solid relations with the most of the West Asian countries now that India is doing. India also became a recent full-time member of the Combined Maritime Forces that are headquartered in Bahrain. The relationship of Israel has been closer than never, and Egypt's relation with Egypt country is also energized, while high-level contacts have been continued with Iran as well. These multilateral and multi-dimensional partnerships forged among the equals between India and its partners in West Asia are definitely going to bear fruits in many ways for India, not only India's national development but also for its diaspora, and also mainly from the security point of view, energy security and also external security and national security as well. So I hope these points were really useful to you all, for example, for an analysis, especially not only with regard to Qatar's role in releasing the naval officers, but how it's played an important role of a rescuer and mediator and political, I would say, mediator between the contrary countries or the warring countries there. And if this did help, please do like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to comment at the end of my post, and I shall see you in my next post. Until then, it's very happy learning.